G'day, we're John and Jan. We're heading off on a short shakedown trip to test some new modifications to the Trax 15 to improve its off-grid capability. Join us as we travel from our home in the Scenic Rim to Lightning Ridge in New South Wales. It's not a bad idea when you stop for a rest stop, have a quick walk around your car and van just to check on the wheels and tyres and make sure everything's okay. Just check for any leaks that might indicate that the bearings are failing, and if you rub your hands backwards and forwards across the inside and outside edges of the tyres, you can feel any ridges if the wheel alignment's out. These are perfectly flat and you're likely to feel it long before you see it. If your tyres scrub out in a short number of mileage, it's only yourself to blame for not doing a simple quick check. Also feel for temperature. It can indicate that the tyre's running at a bit of a lower pressure. And keep an eye on your wheel nuts. At corrugation driving in the Outback, these have been known to come loose. They'll start to elongate the holes in the wheel and then snap off the wheel studs. I keep a torque wrench with me, especially on corrugated roads, and just give those the occasional check just to make sure that they're right. After all, you never know that it could have been the apprentice that put the wheels back on after the last service with a rattle gun, and goodness knows what the torque was. Do this for all of the tyres and wheels on your car and your van, and also have a quick look at the shock absorbers, because shockers work by converting energy into heat, and that can break them down, particularly on corrugated roads, which is why those Chinese red ones are not much good. I use a infrared thermometer just to check the temperatures so I know what's normal for them, and I can pick up if they're starting to run a little bit hot. It lets me measure the temperature of the tyres, and I'll get a good idea of what they should or shouldn't be running, and also the bearings. A couple of these checks only take 60 seconds. I hope that helps. Before moving off, always check the adjustment of your emergency brake controller just to make sure it hasn't moved or been bumped. It's best to find out now rather than when you need it. It should always be located in a position that's clearly visible and accessible by your passenger. As you move off, just test the emergency function and alternate that test between you and the driver so both of you are familiar with exactly where it's located and how to do it. This trip's given us a chance to test out our upgrades to our electrics for off-grid, and as expected it's performing absolutely perfectly. We can run the kettle. I have to say it draws an obscene amount of power, but it's okay for first thing in the mornings, but the system definitely copes with it. And more importantly, the microwave, which is actually quite efficient for the short time that it's in use. We prepared all of our meals before we left, just keep them in the freezer. We've had chicken and mushroom risotto with beef stroganoff, chicken casseroles, curried sausages and mash, and living really well. So the microwave makes it fuss free, reduces the cleaning up and the water usage, and it's proved to be incredibly effective. We can run the aircon just to either cool the fan down or heat it up. Usually only needs about half an hour, and it runs off the batteries and inverter extremely well. We can monitor the battery and our usage on the app, or with the Enerdrive ePro system. Keep an eye on the state of charge of the battery and how many amps we're pulling or generating from the solar panels. Been very impressed with the kick-ass dual zone fridge. It's very efficient, draws very little power, and it's working extremely well. That's our Enerdrive system with a 2600 watt AC transfer inverter, the two DC 40 amp charger and the AC 40 amp charger, and the 200 amp hour lithium battery. It's been performing absolutely brilliantly. We've got 400 watts of glass solar on the roof, which is great, but this time of the year they only really get about 3.5–4 hours of effective sun. The 200 watt portable solar provides a real supercharge. You can track the sun with that and get maximum sunlight. In truth, we haven't needed it, but it's very handy to have, especially if it's a little bit overcast. We also tested our budget 2600 watt generator. It happily runs the inverter, the microwave and everything else, and that's again just a backup if we're caught for days and days at a time without any driving and very overcast weather, but it works a treat.